It's been raining for 9 days straight. Your food ran out on day 6. The tracks are gone. The animals are hidden. The fire is dying. And your children haven't spoken since yesterday. For ancient humans, this wasn't a nightmare. It was every single year. The rains came. And when they came, they didn't leave. Weeks of cold rain that shut down hunting completely. Longer than any tribe's food could last. By every rule of survival, the rain should have killed them. It didn't. And the reason isn't hunger, and it isn't luck, because the rain's first weapon wasn't starvation at all. It was something quieter, something you can't see coming, something that kills you while lying to you. Stay with me, because you're about to live one rainy season the way they did, from the first drop to the last. And by the end, you'll understand why you're alive right now. Let's start where you start. You're a hunter. Your family needs meat. They need it every day. And hunting needs a few things to work. You need to see the animal. You need to track it. You need to get close. Then you need to strike. Now take all of that and pour water on it. You step outside on the second morning of rain. You find a print in the mud. A deer passed here. But by the time you crouch down to read it, it's already a puddle. The edges are melting. In minutes, it's gone. Rain ruins tracking. You can't hear over the sound of falling water. You can't smell an animal through wet air. You can barely see through the gray. The whole world goes blurry. Following an animal becomes guessing, and guessing gets you nowhere. And here's the worst part. The animals aren't stupid. When the rain hits hard, they hide too. They tuck into thick brush. They shelter under rock. They stop moving. They wait. So you're hunting animals that don't want to be found. In a world where you can't track them, can't hear them, can't see them, that's the obvious problem. But it's not the one that kills you first. Because while you're out there searching, the rain is running a second attack. And this one is aimed straight at your body. Here's what most people get wrong. They think starvation was the killer. It wasn't. The first killer was cold. Let me explain. When you are wet, your body loses heat fast, really fast, far faster than in dry cold. Wet skin pulls the warmth right out of you. A cold wind makes it worse. And you don't have a raincoat. You don't have waterproof boots. You have fur, plant fiber, and bare skin. So the rain soaks you, and your temperature starts to drop. Not your mood, your temperature. This is hypothermia, and it's terrifying, because it doesn't feel like dying. First, you shiver. Then you get clumsy. Your fingers stop obeying you. You can't tie a knot. You can't grip a spear. Then your thoughts get slow. Simple decisions become hard. And some people feel warm right before the end. They take their clothes off. Their body lies to them, all the way to the last moment. You've seen this happen. A hunter from your tribe 2 winters ago. He stayed out too long in the freezing rain. When they found him, he was calm, confused, smiling. He didn't even know he was dying. Now think about what that means for you. A hunter needs steady hands. A hunter needs a clear mind. The cold rain steals both. A wet hunter is a weak hunter. A weak hunter comes home empty. And an empty-handed hunter means a hungry family. You see how it all connects? The rain didn't need to starve you. It could freeze you first. Which means before you can fight for food, you have to win a different fight. The fight to stay warm. And that fight has 2 weapons, fire and shelter. Together, they are one system. Break either one and you die. Start with fire. Fire means warmth. Fire means dry skin. Fire means hands that work and a mind that thinks. But try lighting a fire in the rain. Go ahead. Everything is wet. The wood is soaked. The ground is a puddle. The wind kills every spark before it lives. This is where your people get impressive. Because they didn't panic. They planned. They knew the rain was coming. They always knew. So before the sky opened, they got ready. They gathered dry wood early. They stacked it deep inside shelter. They kept it off the wet ground. They protected the driest, thinnest pieces like treasure, because those thin slivers are what keep a dying flame alive. And once the fire was lit, they never let it die. Some tribes kept a single fire burning for weeks. Someone always watched it, day and night, feeding it slowly, guarding the flame like a member of the family. Tonight, that someone is you. You are the fire keeper. It's the middle of the night. The rain is hammering the shelter. The fire is low. Everyone is asleep behind you, your family, your whole tribe. And it's your job to keep that flame breathing. You can't fall asleep, you can't get lazy. One mistake, and the warmth is gone. The flame shrinks to a glow. Your chest tightens. You lean in close. You blow on the embers gently. Too hard, and you scatter them. Too soft, and they fade. You add the driest sliver of wood. You wait. Nothing. You blow again. The sliver smokes. Then it catches. A small yellow flame stands up in the dark. You breathe again. That tiny fire is the whole future of your people. And tomorrow night, someone else will guard it. And the night after that. For as long as the rain falls. Because if the fire dies, people die. It's that simple. But fire alone isn't enough. Fire needs a roof. Think about it. You can't hunt if you can't recover. You go out into the cold rain. You get soaked. You come back shaking. And then what? If there's nowhere dry, you never warm up. You just get weaker, day after day. So shelter wasn't a comfort. Shelter was a weapon. Your people became experts at staying dry. They found caves and rock overhangs. They built shelters that shed water. They angled the roofs so the rain ran off. They kept the fire inside, but the smoke moving out. They lined the floor with branches and hide to lift their bodies off the wet ground. Every detail mattered. A leak over the sleeping area could kill. A wet bed meant a wet body all night. And a wet body in the cold is a dying body. So they guarded their dry space like they guarded the fire, because the two worked together. Dry shelter plus warm fire equals a hunter who can go out again. Wet shelter plus dead fire equals a tribe that fades away. Here's the cycle that keeps you alive. Go out, get cold, come back, get dry, get warm, rest, go out again. Break that cycle at any point and you're finished. The rain is always trying to break it. A flooded shelter, a dead fire, a leak in the roof. Any of these could end everything. But with a dry base and a living flame, you can fight back. Now you can hunt again. Except you're not going to hunt the old way, because your people figured out something better, something that turned the rain itself into a weapon. Here's the first big shift. You stop chasing, and you start waiting. Chasing an animal in the rain is a losing game. You slip, you tire out, you lose the trail in the mud. You burn warmth you can't afford to lose. So your people flipped it. Instead of going to the animal, they made the animal come to them. This is the power of the trap. A trap doesn't get cold. A trap doesn't get tired. A trap doesn't need to see or hear. A trap just waits, even when the rain falls for weeks. You set snares along the paths animals use. You dig pits and hide them under branches and leaves. You build deadfalls with logs and rope-like fiber. You balance heavy stones to drop on prey. Then you let the rain do the rest. And here's the genius part. Rain forces animals into patterns. A flooded field pushes them to higher ground. A rising river makes them cross at certain spots. Your people learned these spots. They knew exactly where the animals would be forced to go. So that's where the traps went. You didn't beat the rain. You used the rain to herd the animals for you. Read that again. The flood became a fence. The mud became a map. The same rain that ruined the hunt is now doing half your hunting. That's not luck. That's genius. But traps have a weakness. You have to check them. And checking traps in the rain is its own way to die. A trap only works if you visit it. So today, you walk out into the cold. You cross the mud. You reach each trap, one by one. And the land is fighting you the whole way. The trails are slick. The rivers are swollen. The calm stream you crossed last week is now fast, brown, and deep. You stand at the edge and watch a whole tree float past. One wrong step near that water, and you're gone. No one will even find your body. So checking traps becomes a careful ritual. You go in pairs. You watch each other. You know the safe crossings. You read the water before you touch it. You test every rock before you trust it with your weight. And when a trap holds an animal, that's a huge moment. Your heart jumps. One catch can feed the tribe for days. But an empty trap hurts, because you spent your strength and your warmth for nothing. You walked out into the cold. You came back with empty hands. And you're weaker than before. This is the gamble, every single day. Risk the cold for a chance at food, or stay dry and slowly starve. There is no easy choice. But the traps are only one part of the plan, because the rain changed the land, and it just put a new food source right at your feet. Let me ask you a question. When it rains for weeks, what fills up? Rivers, streams, ponds, everything floods. And with the water comes something your people love: fish. Here's what most people never think about. When hunting fails, fishing wins. Rain doesn't scare fish. Rain feeds them. Flooded rivers spread fish into shallow water. Fish get stranded in pools as the flood moves and shifts. Suddenly, food is swimming at your ankles. So your people jumped on this. You build fish traps out of sticks and stone, narrow channels the fish swim into. Once in, they can't turn around. They can't get back out. You spear fish in the shallows. You scoop them from drying pools. You use woven baskets like nets. And you work as a team. One person splashes and drives the fish forward. Another waits at the narrow point with the basket. The fish rush straight into it. While the land hunt dies, the water hunt explodes. Think about the switch. On a dry day, you chase a deer for hours and might come home with nothing. On a rainy day, you pull dinner out of a flooded stream. The rain took one food source away and handed you another. This is the pattern that saves you. When one door closes, you find the door the rain opened. But fish and traps still have gaps. Some days bring nothing. Some traps stay empty. Some pools hold no fish. So you need one more layer of protection. And this layer was built months ago, before a single drop fell. Here is the truth. The tribes that survived the rain didn't survive because of the rain. They survived because of what they did before it. They prepared. Long before the clouds rolled in, they were storing food. Think of it like a bank account. In the good months, meat was everywhere. So your people killed more than they needed, and they made the extra last. But raw meat rots fast, especially in wet air. A fresh kill can spoil in a day. So how do you keep meat for weeks? They figured it out. They dried it. They cut the meat into thin strips. They hung it over the fire. They smoked it for hours. Smoke pulls out the water. Smoke keeps the bugs away. Smoke turns fresh meat into food that lasts. Dried smoked meat could survive for weeks, sometimes longer. This was their rainy day food, literally. While the rain falls outside, you eat the good days you saved. Now picture two tribes. One spent the dry season hunting hard and storing meat. The other spent it resting, taking it easy, living day to day. When the rain came, one tribe sat by the fire and ate. The other tribe watched their children get thinner. Week 1, both tribes were fine. Week 2, one tribe started rationing. Week 3, one tribe started dying. Same rain, same cold, same land, different ending. Because one tribe treated the good times like a warning, and the other treated them like a reward. Survival didn't start when the rain came. It started months earlier. That's a lesson that still hits today. But even stored food runs out. The strips get thinner. The pile gets smaller. So what happens when the meat is gone and the rain keeps falling? That's when you turn to a food source most of us forget. We think of ancient humans as hunters. Big spears, big animals, big fights. But that's only half the story. Most of their food didn't run or fight back. It grew. Plants, roots, nuts, seeds, fruit, and rain does something wonderful to plants. It makes them grow. While the animals hide, the plants thrive. The forest gets greener by the day. Roots swell underground. Certain foods actually get easier to find. Your people know every plant around them, which roots you can dig up and eat, which berries are safe, where the nuts fall, which stems hide food underground. This knowledge is gold, because when the meat runs out, the plants fill the gap. A tribe that only knew hunting was in danger. A tribe that knew the plants could bend and survive. Here's the deeper truth. The people who lived were the people who knew the most. Not the strongest, not the fastest, the ones who knew their land like the back of their hand. The rain rewarded knowledge, and it punished ignorance. But this knowledge had to be exact, because some safe-looking plants can make you sick. Some change with the seasons. Get it wrong, and food becomes poison. One mistake could kill a child. So the elders held this knowledge. They remembered every plant, every root, every berry. They taught the young which to touch and which to fear. You learned it the same way years ago, sitting beside an old woman with gray hair and steady eyes, watching her hands sort the safe from the deadly. An elder too weak to hunt was still worth feeding. Their memory was food in disguise. And when even the plants weren't enough, that's when your people people did something we don't like to picture. Let's be honest about survival. When you are truly starving, pride disappears. Rules disappear. You eat what you can. So when the traps are empty and the meat is gone, you scavenge. You eat things we'd walk past today. Insects, grubs, snails, larvae. It sounds gross, but it's smart. Bugs are full of protein, and in the rain, bugs come out. Wet ground pushes worms to the surface. Rotting logs fill with fat grubs. Snails crawl everywhere after rain. Suddenly, protein is crawling all around you. You just have to be willing to eat it. And when you're starving, you are willing. Your children are willing. Everyone is willing. You also follow other hunters, not human ones. You watch the sky for birds. Circling birds mean a dead animal below. You race to the kill and take what you can. Even if a predator got there first, you try to steal a piece. This is dangerous, deadly even, because a predator guarding a kill will fight. But hunger makes people brave or desperate. Same thing when the food is gone. So the picture is coming together. Traps, fishing, stored meat, plants, bugs, scavenging. Not one trick, many tricks, layer after layer. But there's a problem with all of them. Because in the rain, even your own tools turn against you. Think about your weapons. A spear is fine, but a wet grip is a slippery grip. Cold fingers can't hold tight. A throw in the rain flies wrong, and a bow is worse. A wet string loses its snap. A soaked bow shoots weak. So your people learned to protect their tools. You keep spare string dry inside the shelter. You shield your weapons under fur and hide. And you learn the most valuable skill of all. You learn to read the sky. Because the rain does pause. It slows. It stops for an hour. And in those windows, you move fast. You rush to check the traps. You rush to make a throw. You take everything the gap will give you. The tribe that reads the sky best hunts best. You don't fight the rain head on. You slip through its cracks. But timing isn't the only trick. There's one more hunting method, and it turns the whole tribe into a single weapon. When you can't hunt alone, you hunt together. The tribe itself is a tool. Here's how a drive works. A line of people spreads out through the wet forest. You make noise. You shout. You beat the brush. You move forward together. You push the animals ahead of you, toward a trap, toward a cliff, toward the swollen river, and the rain helps you. Wet, panicked animals slip in the mud. They get stuck. They slow down. The flood blocks their escape. You herd them into a corner they can't leave. Then you strike. And the river gives you an even deadlier version. Because when the rain falls for weeks, rivers rise. They spill over their banks. They cut the land into pieces. An animal that could once cross anywhere now can't. It has to find the one safe crossing, a shallow spot, a narrow bend. Your people know exactly where that is. So that's where you wait, hidden, silent, patient. Picture it. A deer comes to the river. The water is high and fast. It moves along the bank, searching, nervous, desperate. It reaches the one safe crossing, and you are already there. The animal is trapped between fast water and sharp spears. It has nowhere to run. The flood did half the work. Think about the patience this takes. Sitting in the cold, soaked to the bone, not moving, for hours, for one throw, one meal for the whole tribe. That's not weakness. That's discipline most of us couldn't imagine. One drive, one ambush can feed everyone. But it takes every person working as one. No solo heroes. Just the group, moving like a single body. The rain breaks individuals. It can't break a group that moves together. But even a perfect hunt leaves one brutal question. When food is this rare, who eats first? Here's something we don't like to think about. When food is scarce, someone decides who eats. And that decision is brutal. In weeks of rain, every bite matters. A tribe can't feed everyone the same, so they made hard choices. Who gets the meat first? Often, the hunters. Because a strong hunter brings back more food. A weak hunter brings back nothing. You feed the ones who feed everyone. It sounds cold, but it's math. Keep the hunters strong, and the whole tribe eats later. Let the hunters starve, and everyone dies. But what about the children? What about the old? This is where it gets human. Because tribes protected their young. Children are the future. A tribe with no children has no tomorrow. So tonight, you take your share of the meat. You look at it. Your stomach is screaming. and you hand it to your child. You go hungry so they can eat. That's not just survival, that's love under the worst pressure imaginable. And the elders? The elders hold the knowledge. They remember where the traps worked. They remember which plants are safe. They remember the last great rain and the one before that. So even a weak elder has value. Their memory is food in disguise. Now think about the weight of all this. Cold, hunger, choices no one should have to make. That's not just a survival problem. That's a war inside your head. And that war might be the deadliest part of all. Because here's what makes weeks of rain so deadly. It's not one bad day. Anyone can survive one bad day. It's the length. It's the grind. Day after day of cold. Day after day of wet. Day after day of shrinking food. Your body wears down. Your mind wears down. And when you're weak, you make mistakes. A weak hunter slips. A slip becomes a fall. A fall becomes a broken bone. And a broken bone in the ancient world is often a death sentence. The rain plays a long game. It doesn't need a knockout punch. It just keeps hitting, slowly, endlessly, until something breaks. It's week 3 now. You wake up cold. Again. Your clothes never fully dried. They haven't been dry in days. Your stomach is a tight knot. You've stopped noticing the hunger as pain. Now it's just a weight. The fire is small, smaller than yesterday. The wood pile is shrinking faster than anyone wants to say out loud. The children are quiet, too quiet. Yesterday they played. Today they just sit, watching the flame. The stored meat is almost gone. You look outside, still raining, and you have a choice. Go out and check the traps in the freezing wet, or stay dry and hope. Both choices are bad. This is what week 3 feels like. This is the true weight of the long rain. If you're feeling the weight of week 3 right now, subscribe. Because what happened next is the reason you exist. And we're almost there. Week 3 is when the fear creeps in. What if the rain never stops? What if the food runs out? What if we don't make it? That fear is a killer too. A scared mind makes bad choices. A hopeless person gives up. And giving up in the wild means dying. So how did your people fight it? They told stories. Tonight, the oldest hunter starts talking. His voice is low and steady under the sound of the rain. He tells the story of the great rain from his childhood, the one that lasted longer than this one, the one everyone thought would never end. And then he says the words the whole tribe is waiting for. It ended. Around the fire, in the rain, they talked. They remembered past rains they had survived. They reminded each other, we made it before, we'll make it again. Hold on, the rain always ends. Stories weren't just fun, they were medicine for the mind. They kept hope alive, and hope kept people alive. The tribe that stayed calm survived. The tribe that panicked did not. Because alone, a person breaks fast. Together, you last. You share body heat. You share food. You take turns keeping the fire. You take turns hunting so no one gets too tired. The group carries the weak. The group covers the mistakes. One person alone in weeks of rain? Almost no chance. A tight group working together? Now you have a shot. But the rain has one more weapon, and it's the cruelest one of all. Not every tribe made it. Let's be honest about that. Some rains lasted too long. Some tribes ran out of stored food. Some lost their fire, and some got sick. Because there's one more thing the rain brings. Disease. Standing water is dangerous. It breeds sickness. Dirty water carries illness. And wet, crowded shelters spread it fast. A tribe packed together for warmth is also packed together for infection. One sick person can spread it to many. And in the cold and hunger, sick bodies have no strength to fight back. So sometimes the rain didn't starve them. It didn't freeze them. It made them sick. And that was enough. This is the full weapon of the long rain. Cold to weaken you, hunger to drain you, sickness to finish you, time to make it all worse. It's a brutal combination. And yet, humans beat it. Not once, thousands of times. Year after year, rain after rain, generation after generation. Because while the rain was attacking their bodies, they were holding on to something the rain couldn't touch. And they were watching for one thing. Even in the worst rain, your people look for hope. And they learn to read it. A shift in the wind, a break in the clouds, a change in how the birds move. Small signs that the rain is ending. These signs mean everything, because they tell you when to strike. When the rain finally eases, the animals come out, hungry, careless, desperate to feed after weeks of hiding. And you know this, so you're ready. The moment the sky clears, you move. The animals are weak from the long rain too. Both sides have suffered, but you have a plan. You've waited for this exact moment. So when the rain breaks, you don't celebrate. You hunt. Hard. Fast. Weeks of patience. Weeks of suffering. All for this window when the food comes back. And this is the deepest lesson of all. Your people didn't just survive the rain. They set themselves up to win the moment it ended. That's the difference between living and dying. Not just enduring the bad times, being ready when the good times return. So what was the real secret? Not the traps, not the fire, not the fish. Something bigger. Something the rain could never touch. Here's the answer. The thing that beat the rain wasn't strength. It wasn't luck. It was preparation and memory. Your people survived because they learned. They remembered the last rain, what worked, what failed, who lived, and why. And they passed that knowledge to their children. Store food before the rain, guard the fire, know the plants, set traps at the floodlines, fish the rising water, read the sky, move as a group, stay together. This wasn't instinct, it was learned wisdom, handed down, generation to generation, voice to voice. Around the fire, in the rain, they taught the young what to do, and the young survived. Then they taught their young. That chain never broke. Think about that for a second. Every rainy season was a test. Pass, and you lived to see the sky clear. Fail, and the story ended right there. For thousands of years, that test came back, again and again. And every single time, your line passed it. Not most of the time, every time. Every one of your ancestors survived weeks of rain. Every single one. Think about how close it all was. One flooded shelter. One night the firekeeper fell asleep. One wrong plant fed to a hungry child. One hunter who faced the rain alone. Any one of those moments, anywhere in that endless chain, and the line stops. If even one had failed, you wouldn't be here to watch this. That's not a small thing. That's the greatest survival streak in history. And you are living proof it never broke. So the next time it rains for days and you feel trapped inside, remember this. Your ancestors felt that same rain, that same cold, that same fear, that same hunger, and they answered it. Not with tools like ours, with their minds, with their memory, with each other. That readiness is in you. It's the reason you exist. The rain tried to end us. For thousands of years it tried, and it never won, not once.